There's a new release today. Of course, Virtual Y is always on the radar and what we've got coming up in the future. So that is what we've got going. Nathan, I will pass to you.
Thank you, Amber. Can everyone hear me all right? Excellent. Well, thank you all for making the time again to join the community call. And many of you have been joining the meetups too. So, and we've been hearing great feedback on the meetups as far as just more frequent opportunity to connect and go into more specific. So I really wanted to talk about three things: our partners and collaborations that we have in place, some facts and stats, and celebrate a couple whys. So we'll get started. First and foremost, many of you may know that we're having partners join our community calls now. Obviously, our partners have always been involved in our Slack channels and different things. Originally and early on with OpenY, we felt it was important for Y leaders to connect and actually talk about some of the great successes we're having partners and some of the opportunities. But we were sharing so much of this meeting with partners, and we need their feedback and ideas, and we need to have them hear firsthand of all the things that we're working on together. So I just wanted to welcome all of our OpenY partners that are on the call. I see some familiar faces and names. And specifically wanted to thank 5Jars, ImageX, OneEach, and JW Technologies. They've been core OpenY partners for a number of years. I want all of you to know that the core team works directly with multiple agencies or multiple of these partners on the core product. What that allows us to do is bring the best minds, some of the best devs and technology skills together. And they're hearing a lot of feedback from all of your associations on needs and opportunities. And combined, we're able to create a more clear roadmap, a more aggressive roadmap as our budget allows. And I just wanted to call out those partners, but also recognize that there's a number of new Y partners and new to OpenY that are working on OpenY websites and virtual Y experiences for a number of Ys, from small to mid-major to the large Ys. So welcome and thank you to the new OpenY partners as well. And also, as many of you know, we continue to work really closely with YUSA, but I would say more than ever, especially with Siva and the YUSA IT team, our teams are really working in and day out on how can we better serve the movement with the combined digital offerings and the talents of our team. And Siva will talk more about that today. And just some facts and figures. We'll share this in other forums, but so there'll be a little bit of a data dump here, but some exciting updates. We've had over 122,000 Slack messages from 370 members on the Slack channel. And as you know, if you're involved on Slack, certain channels just light up with really helpful content, but also some fun and interactions too. We've had 18,000 code commits from 93 developers. Okay, well, just think about that for a second. When you have one project for your association, you may have a couple developers on that, and they could be great developers. But think about the power and the expertise when you bring the talent of 93 developers together, improving the code, providing feedback, working together. And we have 169 associations from across WISE in the US and Canada that are part of the community, and that's growing each and every week. And then special thanks to Craig, Paige, the entire product team, and our core developers. We actually, this last release, we now have 61 product releases of OpenY. And as many of you know, the more releases you have, the more you're iterating and improving the product. And that includes 23 major releases. And as you know, each quarter there's a release. We typically try to align it with the meetings. As you know, the most recent release just went out, and Paige will give an update on that. And so what that's done, that's actually we now have 76 live Y websites using OpenY. And if anyone is tracking the percentage of YUSA or US Y members that we're serving with the OpenY platform, it moved from 1/3 to now 40%. And that's for the committed Ys that are on or moving to the platform. It represents 40% of all of the members that we serve across the US. So just wanted to thank the all of our partners and the product team for making all that possible. So yeah, 76 live websites, and we're starting to track because we're getting questions from many of you of who's using Virtual Y. Can we see examples? And Amber and the team has lists that we can share with you. Also wanted to celebrate a couple recent Ys moved to Open Y and Virtual Y. So we have the Southeast Ventura County YMCA and Danny Hutchinson. They're doing some really interesting thing as providing a new offering to their members using Virtual Y. So congratulations there, Danny, to you and your team. We had the YMCA of Pearson Kipsat go live on Open Y recently. And Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong if you're on, but I think you might have the record for the fastest association to move to Open Y. I want to say just over a month or somewhere in that time frame. And we'll hear from Michelle next month. She's going to give us some updates on her learning and successes with Open Y. And one more call out, we wanted to welcome Canada, Southwestern Ontario, and I wanted to invite Elise here to speak on behalf of her Y. And I might take control to show some aspects of her website as she's talking. But Elise?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so welcome, or thank you for having Shannon and I actually. It's Shannon English and Elise here presenting, but thank you so much for hosting us. So I'm going to start off, but I'm going to hand it over to Shannon as well. I would say, firstly, it's been a wonderful experience. I've been in different industries. I've been at the Y for just over a year, but otherwise in the private sector for over 20 years. And working with ImageX and with the Open Y community, honestly, has been the most satisfactory in my career. So kudos to all of you. A couple of big wins I wanted to call out, and then again, I'll let Shannon take it away. But keys to success for us in particular, we're a relatively large association in Canada. We've got 16 branches, over 185,000 participants and members, etc. But our SLT was really tight through all of this, and we were very purposeful in ensuring that they were part of the decision-making process as well as the development road mapping. We wanted to make sure that we heard what they had to say, but also help steer them in the direction of a solid user experience. So we were really successful in breaking down silos with respect to business models and internal sort of an internal point of view, and mapping out a user experience based on how they would navigate on the website. So that was critical. We were able to consolidate a number of programming names, ways in which that we had nomenclature set up very archaically to a more consolidated and really, again, a really fresh user experience type of way. Integrating our CRM. So we have Salesforce. It's an avocado. Basically, it's called Avocado is our CRM database. It's an app developed within Salesforce. So I think we were one of the first. And that was really incredible. It was a bit of a learning curve, but we got there. And I think that will help lead the way for other Ys who are not only adopting Avocado, but also considering Open Y as they move forward. So I think that's a great accomplishment. Ongoing access to new features obviously is a huge win for us. But I have to say that having a Shannon English on your team is definitely the way to go. She was our project leader, and she ran this initiative from beginning to end, and I wanted to give her huge kudos. So Shannon, if you wanted to talk a little bit from your perspective as well.
Sure. I really echo what Elise said, in that we really had a wonderful experience with ImageX getting this to the point and really shifting gears, where we had promised everybody this beautiful website based on dynamic programming and current information, and then we launched it with no programs running. So that was a bit of an adjustment for us. But really, RY stands on 4 pillars: health and fitness, childcare, camp, and the newcomer services as well. And this site is really, for us, we had 2 associations unify. So we had 2 main websites plus probably 10 offshoot little sites that had been developed over the past 8 years. So we went from about 2,500 pages to now a nice tight 250. So a big change for us, a lot easier for me to maintain. And easier for everybody to keep on top of the content that we have on there. Content collection began in February. So the last week before launch was an all hands on deck push to really go through and get eyes on and edit for not just the timing change for we didn't launch when we thought we were going to, and how does that affect the content, but also all of the COVID changes and what's running, what's not, what needs a little header, what doesn't. My favorite pages are not what you would expect. They're things like our childcare fees page is something that we've always struggled with. How do we show it? We have over 120 childcare locations, and showing that concisely so that people aren't necessarily comparing, but it's easy to maintain and held all together. We ended up using the FAQ accordions to keep everything nice and tight and easy to edit all in one place, but it makes it just that little bit more difficult to compare. Like, well, what's somebody in 2 counties overpaying? So that was, for me, one of the big achievements. But again, a great experience with ImageX and OpenY in general, and we can't wait to see where it takes us.
And special shout out to Kylie.
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry. So hopefully some folks were able to see some of us just clicking through the site, but congratulations to both of you for a great site and one of the first Ys in Canada launch with OpenY. And it's great to see your branding come through for Y Canada, as well as the language translation. If some of you saw from Google Translate, we know that's not perfect, it's system generated, but their team could always build on that. So congratulations on your success. And we saw the news release that you put out too. So well done.
Thanks very much.
And Elise, was there anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I was giving a shout out to Kylie, who has been incredible from the ImageX team. And yeah, with respect to the translation, our newcomers team was blown away. I have to say, everybody's been blown away with everything that they've seen. And I don't think we've received any negative feedback from our members. We've received over the years people begging, and certain municipalities like threatening, you have to change the website. So we've all pleased hundreds of thousands of people across Southwestern Ontario, I must say. So it's been great.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And I know we have a loaded agenda in a good way. So just wanted to finish my remarks on the feedback side is please keep your ideas coming in Slack and on our forums. That's a way for our core team and partners to continue to improve the community and the code. And we also always want to hear your successes, whether it's case studies, KPIs, the wins you're seeing, the feedback you're getting. We're in this together. And again, special shout out to our partners and welcome to the community call. Amber, back to you.
Thanks, Nathan. Congrats again. Shannon, I loved that the fees were your favorite page, because as somebody who has created lots of pages with lots of words, you look at that and think, how can I make this not be so awful? And those accordions, the FAQ accordions, for those of you who haven't used them, are pretty sweet. So, and also the reduction in page count. I know Sujin is on the line in Silicon Valley, was able to do that too. And that is one of the top questions that Ys ask when they come to OpenY, is like, how do we get, sort of separate the wheat from the chaff? Where are we looking at our data and seeing that a lot of folks are not visiting certain pages, and how do we combine them or just get rid of them? And I will point to you now, like, talk to those guys. They did it really well. So once again, congrats, welcome, Canada, yay. Now switching to the US side of the border, we have Paul and Siva from YUSA, and they're going to share an update on Virtual Y and the Universal app. So if it's Paul, Siva, I don't know if Paul's on right now. Whichever one of you is going to do the introduction, take it away.
I'll start, but it's 99% Siva. So I just want to thank all of you on the OpenY team, both in Minneapolis, but also throughout the country, for all the great work you've done in recent years and how far we've come. And then really salute the YUSA IT team that's really accelerated on multiple fronts the last 2 to 3 months, despite trying circumstances. So with that, I will give the floor to Siva.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Amber. Good morning, everyone. I have a presentation. Amber, I don't know if you need to make me the presenter so I can share my screen.
That'd probably be a really good idea, Siva. And thanks, Paul. For those of you that don't know, Paul is on our board of directors. I'll just do this while I'm getting to Siva. And let's see.
Yep.
You ready? Has GoTo provided the resources? Yay.
So I'm assuming you guys can see my screen. Do you see a box on the right corner, or is it the full presentation?
We saw the presentation for a moment, but now we see a blank white slide.
Love it
Just
when that
want to
happens.
figure out all the, let's see.
You may want to stop share and restart, Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
And while Siva is working on that, Sam, I did not realize you went down from 3,000 to 500. Congrats. Julie, yes, the translation option or feature is included in the OpenY platform. I believe one of the Texas Ys contributed that back to OpenY because that was a big deal for their community. And Mario, I'm sorry I told your secret about Virtual Y. I'm glad that you're live-ish. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. No, that seems to be it.
Okay.
Let's see, Craig, is there anything else we can do on the GoTo side for the presentation? Oh, there it is. Lovely.
Oh, we see it now. We're good.
Okay, just when I figured out all the tools in the planet, there is GoToMeeting. So if it stops presenting, please give a shout out and I can change it, okay? You're able to see the entire screen?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. Okay, so with that exciting start, good morning, everyone, and thanks, Paul, for the intro. I want to set the stage before we jump into the presentation. Regarding the presentation itself, it was built for this audience, and we are also giving a webinar tomorrow to the leaders across the movement. What Paul and I decided is maybe we will give the OpenY community a preview of the presentation, so we're not having two different versions of the same presentation. So when we go through this, a few things you might be very familiar with, like OpenY, Virtual Y, whatnot. A few things might be new, as well as we try to keep it as non-technical as possible. If you have any technical questions or any questions, we can discuss as we go along it. Usually, I like to have an interactive presentation. Just for context, since we have 20 minutes, what I like to do is cruise through the presentations. So we will also have like a dry run for tomorrow's webinar and take the questions at the end, if that's okay with all of you. With all that said, today we're going to talk about three things. Obviously, the introduction, YMCA Universal App, Virtual Y, and what we are calling now as a Y Cloud. The purpose of the presentation is to do a few things. One is to give input and update on what we are doing at YUSA. Number two, to clarify certain work streams, timelines, initiatives. We see questions in the OpenY Slack. We get a lot of questions at YUSA. A few things we also want the folks to take away. One is for the larger community, what we call as the Y movement, there is some kind of lack of clarity, right? Because the word virtual, YMCA, is used both as a noun and as a verb. They used it as a verb, but now we're using it as a noun. So we try to give some clarity. So let's see if we are accomplishing this and are not. So this will be our first preview to that. Let's start with the Universal App. And I should have said this early on, but I'm every time I attend this meeting, very impressed with what the OpenY community is doing. Nathan is part of our team. I'm trying to message that OpenY and YUSA IT are one team. Nathan actually has insights into my inbox to a point where he sees almost all my emails, I think. So coming back to Universal App. What is the Universal App? It's a name that was intentionally selected after a lot of discussions and debating, that an app that will be inclusive of all of us. Everything starts as a blank slate or as a vision. As an example, for a mobile app today in the App Store, no matter what operating system you use, you search for YMCA. This is kind of variation of this is the outcome you see depending on your device and operating system. There are so many YMCA associations having so many apps, but not all of them have a mobile app. The vision that we imagined was, how will the member experience be if a member searches for YMCA, one app pops up, and then within that one app, we have each of these associations. That's where it all started. How we go about designing, executing, and delivering is really the life cycle we are trying to take on right now. So this is where the starting point is. Now, what is the universal app? So we have laid this presentation in a way that the CEOs can forward to others in their teams. I personally like to ask questions. I learned by that. So we are trying to answer the questions. I'm hoping some of your questions will be answered as we go through this presentation. Number one, the YMCA Universal App, also known as YApp for this presentation, is a mobile app available to members across the movement provided by YUSA. In other words, the YApp is a mobile app platform for the associations that includes the local Y app within it. It's available in iOS and Android. And right now, what we are trying to do is rapidly develop the app to create an MVP, minimum viable product, to validate that this approach will work and to see how we can evolve it. In the next few slides, I'll show you what we are doing right now. But this is kind of the context. What is the YMCA Universal App? And we are truly working in an agile manner where every hour, every day, we are iterating the app. Some of the features that will be available in the MVP. This is also an evolving list. We are having a lot of brainstorming sessions back and forth, but we are intending to bring the most used features, the most recent features, and the most common features. And we are trying to also see what else can be added or removed as part of the development process. So you get the idea what are all available in the app. How does the universal app work? This is the key. Number one, the Y app, I had to move some stuff here. Okay. Will enable the members to identify their location or branch upon the first use and adjust the features and branding based upon their location. So think of the universal app like a gateway app that actually will let the member to select their local branch or the association based upon the geolocation or zip code or the name, and then that becomes their default setting. It'll integrate with theoretically any member management system, but for the initial release one, we are looking to integrate with some of these major member management systems, Personified, Expo, CCC, Salesforce, ReClick. I'm sure if YMCA Canada wants to use it because they're a Salesforce shop, we'll be more than happy to roll it out for them. Now, what if you are an association that don't have one of these 5 MMS systems? What we are doing as part of the MVP is creating a universal integration. Basically, we're creating an API that is agnostic to any member management system. But we try to stay away from the term API in this presentation so that it's kind of non-technical. So you can integrate for release one with all the 5 major member management systems, as well as there will be a 6th one available, which is like a standard API to integrate with anything else you want to integrate with. When the release one comes out, there will be a on-demand content distribution. Again, the vision is you will have one content store and you can deliver it in your mobile platform or in your virtual website platform. And then some of the niceties are like integration with the class schedule, single sign-on, configure to your local branch, whatnot. So really what we are trying to do is leave the member facing to the branches. Your member will see no difference. Behind the scene, we want to make the technology seamless. And you will see this as a theme in why we are doing this. So that's how the universal app works and some of the features called out in the slide. Why do we need the universal app? Apart from the first slide I showed, moving to a one app, to really improve the member experience across the country. And as well as some of those things that usually we don't talk about is, in this case, building an app takes time, effort, and money. YUSA is investing in it to rapidly move to deliver this MVP. We are also working with the agency to negotiate extremely cheap, extremely cost-effective licensing fee on an ongoing basis. So there's a one-time build, which is what we are doing now, and we are working on, like, I don't want to say national agreement, but some kind of a negotiated agreement to provide way lesser cost licensing fee for the associations as part of our bargaining power. Now, how do we move here? If you don't have a mobile app, what we learned is there are, like, I might get my numbers wrong, but 140 or so mobile apps. There are 600 others who don't have a mobile app, or they might have something provided by their CRM. So if you don't have a mobile app, you can start using the universal app right away. If you have a mobile app from eGym or NetPulse, just for context, both of these are the same company now. But when I talk to folks across the movement, me being fairly new to YMCA, they didn't even know NetPulse is now owned by eGym. We can migrate it easily to the universal app. Let's say if you don't use eGym and you're using a different app, then there is a migration path to onboard. Probably will work with your team or your agency to migrate them. So there are 3 different paths we are jotting down to move to the universal app. And each association will work with the partner directly for their content and any other customization they might need. So that's how, that's kind of the why. The timelines, we started really, it's not just the technology part of it, right? There is the legal part of it. There is MSAs and statement of work. There is the financial part of it. So we are looking at it comprehensively. So we started really mid to late July. The project kicked off last week of July. And since then, we have rapidly developed the prototype. Currently, the requirements are being finalized, and we are looking to launch in the MVP in mid-October or sooner if we can. But we are pushing towards a very aggressive timeline. What we also want to see is we're looking for some early adopters, volunteers, and we are setting the stage after the pilot. We are calling between October and December as release 1. And we are also looking at onboarding multiple associations if they're interested to the universal app. So that's kind of a high-level timeline, what we are marching towards. Just a snapshot from our prototype. So that's the universal app. Virtual Y. This is an easy topic for this audience. Again, please keep in mind the presentation is created for an audience who may or may not be intimate with the OpenY, Virtual Y concept and what we are trying to do. Some of this definition straight off the OpenY website. What is Virtual Y? I'm not going to read it, but you guys get the drift. It's available to all the Ys, easy to connect to your main website, authenticated users, content, local YMCAs control their website and content. So basic definitions of the Y. What we are trying to do is we are trying to provide a platform or virtual Y software as a service for those who may not have the bandwidth or the technology or the time to do it now. So that's really what we are trying to do to help the YMCAs with another option for the virtual Y hosting. How can I use the virtual Y platform? Obviously, we are building it in a cloud, secure cloud as a plug and play to help the associations across the country. Virtual Y will help the local Ys to need to implement the virtual Y module multiple times. You guys are familiar with this. We are creating a multi-tenant environment where we can achieve the benefits of scalability, thereby the economies of scale. This will be a shared solutions model. It will be cost effective. As you can see, some of these are basics of a shared solution or a SaaS model, but we're trying to reiterate for an audience who may not be intimate with that kind of a model. The key part here is the takeaway for the audience is the local Ys will still continue to keep their website, whether it is on an OpenY platform or not. They will continue to manage their member management system and CRM, and they will continue to manage their content. We will just provide the virtual Y as an add-on to their current footprint. Another way to look at this is basically the member will connect to the website. They will control the content. We will provide the virtual Y in a cloud environment that we will plug to their websites. This is the most generic, easy to understand explanation we have come up with for an audience that may not be intimate with OpenY and virtual Y. Some samples from one of the associations we're working with. Again, for this audience, this might be redundant. And some timelines we're working with. This is, again, an ask came from the movement when we talked to several YMCAs who are really impacted by COVID and other things they are dealing with. This is something they want to move forward. Talking to Nathan and team, talking internally, we said, let's move ahead and give this as an option to the YMCAs who would like to use this. As you can see on the right bottom, while we are going to build a platform that is a true cloud platform, there is high interest in some of the movement folks to use similar model for OpenY website. Either they have an outdated website, or they are thinking about OpenY, or they are hearing other good things and they want us to explore the OpenY hosting, and we are offering that as part of our platform. So far, 61 YMCAs have signed up to YUSA to host the virtual Y. The early adopters are from these 3 states, California, Florida, and North Carolina. This is something I'm a little over 2 months here at YMCA, but in my previous life, all I did for 15 years is build and scale SaaS products. So it falls in line with what the team is also familiar with. We are excited to have these early adopters to adopt this model and benefit and serve their members, which is the ultimate goal. I want to introduce this concept of Y Cloud and what we are meaning by this. The vision really is to provide a secure, cost-effective, plug-and-play, pay-as-you-go digital platform with focus on member experience by removing the total cost of ownership for the YMCAs. Today, we are looking to think of Y Cloud as the platform and the program that provides the Y app, virtual Y microsite, OpenY website, and we are exploring other things we can help the YMCAs across the country. Me coming from healthcare and coming into Y, it's the same concept where your member is the center of everything you do, right? Each one of you live this every day. And some of the things that you will be kind of focused is your branches, which is key. On the right side, you have your website, mobile app, your member management system, or CRM. What we are trying to do is have the local YMCAs be the face to their members, right, in a member-centric model. YUSA is trying to provide the technology to support some of this as an option that's available for them if they choose to opt in to use it. So that's kind of a 60,000 feet vision, what we are trying to proceed. This slide should have really been the first slide, but we wanted to socialize some of those things that people are hearing about the universal app, virtual Y, and then kind of reiterate and connect the dots, what we are envisioning providing without interfering the operations of a local Y association. So that's pretty much a depiction of it. Some of the guiding principles we came up with, this is a combination of technology, other relationship that the YUSA has with the YMCAs, the legal bindings and legal requirements, and then the financial portion of it. So we came up with some guiding principles. We are trying to tune this every day as we learn and talk to different association leadership, but you get a drift where we are going with this. We want to make, if I had to put this whole slide in one sentence, YUSA would like to remove barriers to local associations to deliver content to their members. But we are in step 0 of many, many steps. Within a month, we have made this much progress. And I want to make sure that I absolutely take a moment to thank the OpenY team, the YUSA team, and several folks who have made time for us to ask questions and share their roadblocks as well as challenges that we can make it an opportunity to help. So without everybody's input, it would not have been possible. One of the things we are trying to do, the fourth bullet point from the top, we are not trying to build a software because OpenY is doing a great job. We're trying to bring the best of the breed together. That's pretty much what we're trying to do, to be that, as a national office, as a value add honest partner, to be the integration partner for the movement folks who want to opt into this kind of a model. And while myself, Nathan, and others are always willing to make time to meet with folks, what we want to do is we want to go in a self-service model, which is the only way we can scale up. Mark Hassman and team from YUSA IT has already built automated intake form. So if somebody is interested, you will have like 5 questions to answer. It will take 2 minutes. When you submit that intake form that you're interested in the Y Cloud, immediately you'll get a second form automatically. So we're building an automated self-service workflow. We're also building a site to put all the information that we have verbally said in this call and that might come up over time in this link. And for any questions, feedback, inquiries, we welcome you guys to send an email to the Y Cloud email address. There is something that we are trying to adopt. Right in this slide, there's a bullet point at the bottom talks about transparency. We don't know everything. We don't have answers for everything, but we want to share everything that we learn in this process, and we want to be as transparent as possible to the folks across the movement. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm going to pause there and take any questions.
Thank you, Siva. We have had a few questions burning up the chat dials while you've been chatting. The first of all, and these aren't quite in order, but Sam asked, what is the difference from the current virtual Y offering through the OpenY platform and this SaaS model?
That was answered very well by Craig, Siva, Craig, Avi, and a few others.
Oh, great. Thank you, Sam. I got kicked out of GoToMeeting, so there was about a 3-minute window where I missed it. The general cost of the app, that was another question. Maybe it got answered while I was offline.
So real quick, just in case anybody missed the chat, I want to make sure that question gets answered for everybody else. For those who aren't looking at chat, the prior one from Sam about the difference between what YUSA is talking about in OpenY, and Siva touched on this at the end of his presentation, that effectively Virtual Y, the software, is built by OpenY, and YUSA is offering to host and maintain a Virtual Y site for any association, just like partners such as ImageX, 5Jars, and OneEach.
Correct. If I may add, Craig, you guys are already using this, whether you're a Daxco shop or Salesforce or CCC or Office 365 or you name it, right? There's a build and a run part of it for institutional reasons, right? OpenY team build it, and then you all choose to run it at your choice, wherever you prefer. We are providing the run part of it. So the build and run, we're bringing it together with this Y Cloud platform.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? I'm not seeing the chat because I have the presentation up.
Right. No, I will ask them. From Julie, it would be great if members could easily switch between locations. Would that be possible? She realizes it's not always easy to do. Not sure if that's on the roadmap, Siva.
Yes, it is.
Great.
We actually had a discussion this morning at 9 o'clock our time, Nathan, myself, Mark, and others. We are putting ourselves in a member's shoes, right? Me coming in, I can ask all the stupid questions and get away with it. So if I'm a member, what will I know? Will I know the association name? The answer is no. Will I know the branch name? So we are going through the process of how a member can pick a location. The example I asked when they showed me that kind of the prototype is if I'm going to a Twin Cities location near my home or my office, which it can be 30 miles apart, can I pick the branch And the answer that was told to me was yes. I think Nathan was going to add something.
Yeah, Siva, I think you covered it. I mean, the important thing is it's already pretty easy to switch between locations in an association, but if you switch between markets or associations, that's a different piece. But it's all being considered. As you know, if you use the eGym app today for your association, you can change your specific branch or center, and your favorites will come up, your preferred classes, and all those types of things.
Thanks. And Siva, isn't there a presentation coming up on this as well?
Tomorrow, we're giving the same presentation as a webinar to the leaders across the movement, same time.
Okay. Okay. So for all of you, and where would one sign up for that for the community?
You can send me a Venmo, $89. We can share the webinar link with you. I would prefer to share this presentation after tomorrow's webinar. We might make some.
Absolutely.
So just stay put for another 24 hours. We'll share this. But the webinar link, I can send you, Amber, after this.
Sure.
So you can share with the group.
Thank you. And so, folks, I'll pop that into Slack when I get that. And the last question that I have is, will there be a giving option?
I don't know the answer to that. Giving option in the app?
Yes, that was an app question from the field.
Let us make a note of that. Let's take it back and discuss. I don't remember seeing that. Nathan, you can correct me. Obviously, you guys know it's on the OpenY website, so we will take it back as an input.
Sure. Sounds good. Siva, thank you so much. This is really revolutionary, and I thank you so much for your partnership. It's hard to believe that you and Avi have only been around for such a short time. Mark and Paul and team, you guys are doing amazing work. Nathan, Zimmerman, really happy to have you guys on board with us. So I will also share Siva's presentation when he has presented that and made the updates for tomorrow too. So product team, it's all you.
Let me share my screen. So I'm trying to share my screen. Hopefully you see my screen or a screen, somebody's screen. I do. I see it. There it is. OpenY roadmap. Good. That's what we're going to talk about. So with the 16 minutes we got remaining, we're going to steam right on through here. We're going to talk about virtual Y. So you heard some about that from Siva just a moment ago, but we're going to talk about it from the software perspective. We're going to talk about our August release, which was live today. So the very latest version of OpenY hit the presses. We're going to talk about design system and better building tools, which leads us to OpenY 3.0 in the future. We're going to talk about Drupal 9. And we're going to talk about our future roadmap plans. And so first up is Paige to talk about virtual Y. And so Paige, take it away.
Yeah, we've got some cool feature updates. So I don't know if you want to go into presentation mode, but otherwise you're just giving away all my secrets now.
Yeah, I did. Holy cow.
So what is now? So top of the list is a Zoom embed. So previously we were linking users out to their Zoom meeting where you could just in the description put in, the password in the description. Now you can, using an iframe, show your Zoom meetings, live streams, and whatever directly within virtual Y, so you keep them within your experience. And then the chat function within Zoom also comes with that, as we knew that was a feature that some Ys were looking for, especially for their instructors who like to kind of communicate with the participants. We've also added a virtual Y editor role. Previously, it came only just with the admin, where you are in charge of the experience and can do all things, where with the editor role, now those are maybe some of your kind of mid to junior level marketing or IT level individuals who are just there to make content, edits and updates and add new streams or events without controlling the actual settings of your virtual Y site itself. And then the custom thumbnails for videos and live streams. So previously that was available only in the live streams, but for some individuals who wanted to also have the custom thumbnails upload to videos, you can do that as well, especially if you spend time to kind of carefully craft those thumbnails where they don't really pull through in Vimeo very well. I believe YouTube, it wasn't really an issue, but if you are planning to go forward with Vimeo, That'll be a great feature for you. And then the cross-association content sharing, which is a really hot topic, just allowing individuals to share their hard work with others across the country who may benefit from those videos or live streams or blog posts. So there's the ability to share those with others, as well as to then kind of peruse the full library of options of what others have shared, and then kind of pick and choose which ones via a preview feature that you want to bring into your virtual Y for your members to access and use. Then coming up, as soon as we get that content sharing in, we are going to be turning our attention to user segmentation and tiered content. So that is where you're going to be able to offer free trials to select groups, or if you want like a premium member tier where they get extra bonus content for an additional fee. Otherwise, if just your standard members where they can see everything, how you set that up is going to be flexible, since we know everyone's going to want to do it a little differently. Moral of the story is you will just be able to do that. And then we heard at the very beginning of this call, Elise from Southwestern Ontario mentioned avocado. So that is becoming a more popular CRM. So we're going to be working on that to get that integrated as one of our SSO sign-in, single sign-on options. And the ability for users to save their favorite videos to a personal playlist, as we've just kind of seen in the past that can really boost engagement with the product. So they'll be able to then kind of see everything that they've liked in the past and revisit their favorite workouts without having to search for it as you add more content. And so finally, just a clarifying point, all these updates are made available in the core code base and experience that is maintained by OpenY. And so this is going to power both your independent virtual Y modules and standalone sites, which we've got about 40 associations signed up with our core partners, or kind of go on the DIY route with that, as well as the YUSA SaaS platform that Siva introduced today. So those are both going to be pulling from that same code base. It's all, the same thing. It's just kind of like, who do you want to go with is sort of what determines it. So then some housekeeping items. There is still a survey going out about virtual Y. So it is open until August 15th. I think I still have that link also saved in my clipboard, but maybe not. No, it's gone. But anyway, I'll get that in here afterwards. And so then if you just fill that out, and even if you're not on virtual Y or building it just yet, it's helpful to get the feedback, because it's a lot of general information about like what CRM are you using, what new digital products have you added since March, as we've all kind of had to shift our business plans and our game plans going forward. And so that information is going to help us continue to keep coming out with features that are going to be the most relevant and the most impactful for all of you throughout the end of the year. We also have a full product roadmap now that's available on Trello. So if you just reach out to us, we can point you there, so that if you have an idea for a new feature, you can always check there and see maybe it's already on our list, but maybe you've thought of something that we haven't come up with. So we'd love to hear the idea so we can get that added and prioritized. And then final plug is we do kind of have a sub-community within the OpenY Slack community at hashtag virtual-YMCA, where a lot of the associations who are building or have recently launched their virtual Y instance are there chatting about best practices or other relevant topics as they come up.
Awesome. And then Paige, just so you're aware, Amber saved the day and posted the link to the survey as you were talking.
She's good for that.
Indeed.
Thank you, Amber.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Paige. Lots of exciting stuff coming for Virtual Y. Moving on, just in sake of time here, let's talk about the release. So the latest release went live today of OpenY. A lot of work around Drupal 9 compatibility readiness. So just ongoing work towards getting completely compatible by the end of the year. We upgraded the Drupal core, so we're now using 8.9.2, and that'll ensure compatibility with modules moving forward. We made some enhancements to Carnation. Carnation is typically the most popular of the OpenY templates that's in OpenY, and so we want to just continue to refine that and just smooth out some of the rough edges. as well as to reduce the cost of ownership to associations that are using Carnation by improving its stability. And then, as always, just the ongoing work to make sure that OpenY stays stable and highly functional and resolving any technical debt that we have. And so with that, I want to talk about some of the things that we're working on next. Now, for those of you that were on our call last month, we talked a little bit about the path to OpenY 3.0. When all of the following three are complete is when we would change the version number from OpenY 2.x, 2.6.1 is what is live as of today, to OpenY 3.x. The first is getting to Drupal 9. So that full compatibility is expected by the end of this year for Drupal 9, but that's the first pillar. The next is the design system, and that's really focused on bringing elegance, simplicity, and savings to the OpenY from a design perspective. And then better building tools is how we improve the admin interface, as well as to reduce the distribution bloat, to make it easier to use OpenY, to make it easier to maintain OpenY, and to really focus on those newcomers to OpenY to make their experience easier and make it so that you can more easily share the ability to put content into your OpenY site with more people on your team that may not be as tech or digitally savvy as you are. So what that looks like from a timeline perspective is, again, Drupal 9 we expect to be fully compatible with by the end of this year. We will have a series of MVPs that we'll be working on throughout the remainder of this year and into early next year for design system better building tools. We will then have public beta and alpha periods for our agency partners and Y associations to weigh in with their feedback throughout the remainder of next year until we get to a launch at close to Q4 of 2021. And again, those dates are all completely subject to change based on things that are outside of our control, resurgence of pandemics and who knows what else. But hopefully this will all go according to plan. And so let's talk a little bit about better building tools at a high level and what that means. So again, our goal is to make OpenY easier and cheaper for associations and agencies to use the content editing features within OpenY. And so there's a big debate around paragraphs versus layout builder. And when we talk about the admin interface, this is really about enhancing and simplifying how you manage your site. We want to consolidate and streamline that content editing experience. And then again, we need to get to the core of which path do we go down? Do we continue down the paragraphs path, which is how people create, manage, and maintain content today in OpenY? Or do we go down the path of layout builder, which is more of a drag and drop, what you see is what you get type interface for the layout of content beyond just how text looks. And so as you can see there, you could potentially choose a layout, 1 column, 2 column, 3 columns, and then start populating it with blocks rather than with paragraphs. Where we're likely heading to is a potential hybrid of both, keeping the current experiences that you have today, the pages that you have already built using paragraphs, but then introducing Layout Builder potentially for marketing experiences within your websites with OpenY 3. But that's an ongoing exercise in research that we're doing right now with some of the lead agencies and developers to influence that decision moving forward. And then we expect to have a decision relatively soon that we'll communicate out and get some more feedback from this community. And so moving on. Next, let's talk about Drupal 9 readiness. So for Drupal 9 readiness, we have a goal our goal is to ensure continued stability of OpenY while bringing the latest features of the Drupal core to our community. And so the first step will be an alpha build available by the end of September for agencies and associations that are interested in can start to play with and check out. And again, as always, the majority of the Drupal 9 code is already in OpenY. What really this gets down to is some of the contributed modules that we use for things like being able to change colors on your site, etc. We need to update those to make sure that they function correctly with some of the great Drupal 9 code that comes from the Drupal community. Some of the beta builds will be available in October for additional testing from agencies and developers. And then we will have a release candidate planned for November of 2020. That's the very next release of OpenY. Again, subject to changes with COVID and other changing needs of Y associations for things like virtual Y, etc. So how can you prepare for Drupal 9 readiness? We are recommending that you stay, as always, within 1 to 2 releases of the latest version of OpenY. What that does is it reduces your ongoing upgrade efforts. Every upgrade of OpenY happens sequentially. So to go from 8.2.4 to 8.2.6, you go from 2.4 to 2.5 to 2.6 and on and on. OpenY 3.0 is expected to be released later in 2021, and that will require that we're using Drupal 9 and some of the things that will be released later this year in November. And so let's talk a little bit more about that future roadmap and what's coming. So again, we talked about Drupal 9, working to ensure compatibility with all OpenY features. We've talked a lot about Virtual Y on this call today. That's that authenticated content paywall. Much more work to be done there. Next is our design system and better building tools. And so again, that includes the style guide, user experience consistency, and that's the path towards OpenY 3.x and beyond. We have some coming things with Activity Finder and program registration and enhancements, such as multi-participant search. That's pending an A/B test that is set to run in September, and that after we get the results of that, if those results are favorable, we will bring that into OpenY. And so that would effectively be Activity Finder version 4. Version 3 is what's in OpenY today. And then again, as always, code refactoring, improving the overall quality and reducing our technical debt. And then looking at accessibility. So accessibility is something that we, on an annual basis, we do accessibility audits of everything that is in OpenY. We've been doing that every year since the beginning of OpenY. And so this would be the 4th round of audits. Earlier in the year, we paused on a lot of the OpenY work so that we pivoted to things that were new, such as Virtual Y and other endeavors, to help associations deal with what was happening with COVID. With that, because we were not building as many new capabilities within OpenY, it made sense to hold for a little bit on the next round of accessibility audits. But we still hope to make those happen either later this year or early next year. So those are on hold just temporarily. But again, we've been doing accessibility audits annually since the beginning. And so finally, just some quick reminders. We always have information on our website at openY.org, and that's where you can get connected with all of the things we've been talking about today. We have our message board at community.openymca.org, which is open to the public. And then if you're ever interested in everything we've ever released for OpenY, you can always go to our GitHub page, and this URL will be in this presentation, which will be uploaded and shared on that message board if you would like to ever go there. It's super high-techy information. And so with that, I'm going to hand it back to Amber and stop presenting with the last minute that we've got.
2 more minutes. Way to go. Thank you guys for everything that you've been doing and working fastidiously to launch all of these new products, which is fueling so many things. Thank you again, Siva and Paul, for joining us and your time, and Elise and Shannon for sharing your information. I want to just say a couple of things quick. Upcoming meetups. I know that Mario pinged me, and a few of you have asked questions about content sharing. I am going to petition my lovely Virtual Y leads, Paige and David Wells, to cover some of that information on the next meetup. That is taking place on September 3rd. So if you need an invitation to that, let me know. It's a monthly meetup where there will be different topic features, and then there will be some time saved for open Q&A. And just today, we solidified a meetup that's going to be happening on Monday, August 31st. It's going to be Sam from Greater Hartford, Tamar from Long Island, and Hip from YMCA of the North. And they're going to have an open conversation about a lot of questions that Sam and Tamar have for HIP, and we decided to make it public so everybody could join. We'll also try to save some time for open Q&A for that too, but we already have a lot of questions, so we'll see. Don't forget to take Paige's survey. It's in the chat. We'll post it again to Slack later. It matters. It's like your vote in democracy, and if you haven't voted in the primaries today, I will take this opportunity to remind you to do so. It's noon. Thank you all for joining us for this call in August. It's been such a wild 2020, and it makes me very happy to see all of you each and every month and to see you on the Slack channel.